Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, and welcome to the late one, Connecting Jamaica. I want to thank you so much for joining this evening. And I said tonight I'm going to have a show which is looking at some developments in Jamaica. This is Sunday evening. Sunday evening is a beautiful day in the UK, and I'm sure it's a beautiful day in Jamaica as well. As we connecting Jamaica from the UK, within the diaspora. Of recent days, we have seen where within the political sphere in Jamaica, there's been some shift. We saw whereby 4 officers of the People's National Party, they are resigned. And many people have discussions and many people are saying many different things. Mark Golding, who is the leader of the People's National Party, many people are saying he wants to have his team where he can go forward. Many people are saying that it is not uniting. Other people are saying that actually it is a way of uniting and for him to go forward. There's another school of thought at the same time that the Westminster System has somewhat failed Jamaica. And so therefore, I'm going to have a couple guests or different persons that may come on tonight and to share their views and their perspective on this beautiful Sunday evening. But I would also like to encourage persons who are actually watching, if you want to come in and if you want to be a part of a discussion, you can also be a part of a discussion by letting me know, and we can send you a link how you can come in and you can share your views and share your perspective. I think that is also crucial, and I think that is also important. So therefore, it's an opportunity for you to come in. I want to thank also the persons who are coming in from YouTube, those on Facebook, those on Instagram. I'm going to put it on Instagram briefly, whereby just myself, you can see. The last time I tried to put it on Instagram at the platform, but people could not see everybody. They could only hear the voices. So I'd like to invite persons to come in on the show and to hear your views and to share your thoughts and to share your perspective as Jamaica. Can we say that the people of Jamaica are benefiting at this time with the political fraternity? Or is it that the political fraternity are benefiting more? Which is? And therefore, it is your call, right? Now, in the UK, we've got the Westminster System. And the question is it that the Westminster System is the Westminster System failing Jamaica? Or is it that the Westminster System has not been fully utilized to the point whereby it is actually able to be effective? Okay, so that's the big question, I must say. So I'm going to have Mark Cameron this evening. I'm hoping to have Winston Barrett this evening as well, all being well. I'm also going to have Lester Gale, who's going to share his perspective as well. And anybody else, I'm going to try to keep it for an hour as to the developments in Jamaica. Michelle Clark, welcome. Thank you so much for joining tonight. And feel free. If you want to come in, as I keep saying, anyone want to come in, you are invited to come into the show. Not on Instagram, but through the platform, which is set. Okay? So without further ado, let me bring in my first proponent or person. Sir Lester, how are you doing?
I'm well. Good evening to you and your viewers.
Yes. And tonight we're not sipping and talking, not talking and sip. Oh, you are. Well, the most I can have is some water actually tonight. You know what I'm saying? As well. But how are you, boss? How is everything?
I'm well. We're having a beautiful, beautiful Sunday evening here in the Netherlands.
I'm in the shower yet.
Yes.
Awesome.
Keep talking, Lester. Keep talking. Yes.
It's awesome, man. We had some very bad weather over a week ago. Some persons lost property and I think some lives, and but it has improved dramatically now, and but it was a beautiful day for barbecuing today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question. Michelle, we're going to go on Instagram actually shortly. Yeah, the unfortunate thing with Instagram is that people are not able to see everybody. People are only able to see me on Instagram, so it is not shown, but I'm going to put it on Instagram. Lester, in the UK here, the weather is fantastic. I mean, it's so hot. Tomorrow is July the 19th, which is called Freedom Day. I don't know freedom from what. I think it's releasing the people so they can get outside. But the funny thing about it is that the Prime Minister, as a result of the Health Secretary contracting COVID, who is double jab, the Prime Minister also got to isolate, and also the Chancellor got to isolate.
Yeah.
So therefore, tomorrow when the Prime Minister is saying Freedom Day, everybody get outside,
You won't.
they have to isolate. You know, but somehow your country there seems to be doing well. I mean, how is it there? I'm not hearing much of a big deal over there.
Well, doing well is a matter of perspective, you know, because since our Prime Minister Mark Rutte has opened back the borders and opened back travel and for the businesses to operate fully again, we have seen a spike, a huge spike in cases. What we're not seeing though is spike in hospitalization, but we are seeing spike in the cases. And a lot of persons are vaccine centers all over the country. You know, vaccine centers are tripping you over, and people are traveling. So what's happening now? Persons are going to countries that are affected, and they're
Yes.
coming back now with the virus. So
Okay. Pause 1 second. I'm going to try something to see if Winston Barrett can be heard. Um, Sir Barrett, are you there? Okay. I can't hear him. Winston Barrett, come in from Jamaica. Live and direct. Winston Barrett. You got to maybe show your face. I think maybe he's got to show his face, isn't it, Lester? Maybe.
I think he needs to turn on his camera.
I don't know. I think maybe the camera and the bits there is affected there. Winston, no sound from you. Nothing. Put on your face, man. Put on your face. Put on your face. and come in. All right. Listen. Michelle, it's now on Instagram, guys. With Jamaica now and the developments there with the recent, officers of the People's National Party pulling back, is it a stepping stone for something great, or is it, from your perspective, a recipe for disaster?
It's not. Will you can't look at it on just one level or from one perspective, one angle. You have to look at it on many prongs. Now,
Yes.
what we have seen happen time again since 1962, and with the exception of the 1980 elections, we have had a seamless transition of power from one party to another, or
Yes.
the powers that be in the parties, that the transition of power has been seamless. You will always have hiccups, little, a tussle here and there, but not like in other countries, even other developed countries, where we have seen bloodshed and like this whole disaster. We have not had that per se in our politics. So the four VP resigning without any real casualty is
Yes.
is a good sign that our democracy is working.
All
Right?
right. Just pause 1 second. Pause 1 second. Mr. Barrett, can I hear you? Okay. No sound from Winston there, isn't it? Okay. Let's keep talking. Yes.
Yes. So our democracy is working. It's alive. Um, Usually other countries our size, and with our size of GDP and our crime rate, it would have affected the political directorate also, and we have not seen that, you know.
Mm.
But also what we ought to be mindful of is that we are replacing persons who are experienced with persons who are not so experienced. And as an opposition, we need a viable opposition, you know. And also in the transitioning of power, what we have had is that one person, or one set of person want to be the dominant factor, and we have to have a mix. We have to have a
Yes.
mix.
Okay, got to have a mix. Let me try see if I can get back Winston here. Ladies and gentlemen, just bear with me. I'm trying to get in a few other people. Winston, Mr. Barrett. Mr. Barrett, I want to say to you that I need you to come in somehow. We got to make it happen. I'm going to wait for Mark to come in, but you have to come in by hook or crook because I need to hear your voice. So in the meantime, I'm going to bring in Mark, Mr. Cameron. I don't know if he's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, Mark. Welcome, and thank you for joining this discussion. I mean, you and I had this early discussion this morning when 6 o'clock when Duppy just go out in bed. And we said, let's just do something today to talk about where Jamaica is at. And I want to turn it, I know Winston Barrett is trying to come in from Jamaica as well. You're in Jamaica now. Leicester is in Netherlands. I'm in the UK. But I want you to just tell me, Mark, we looked at the Westminster System. Is it that the Westminster System has failed because it's not being fully utilized, or the Westminster System is just a recipe for disaster for Jamaica? Or has the Westminster System worked in the UK but not ideal for Jamaica?
The Westminster system worked in the context and the time that it was implemented.
Yes.
Back then, you had landowners and typical bureaucrats who pretty much ran the country. I think everything has changed since then. So, for instance, if you look on the democracy, and you look on the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, there's some ideological difference. One party was for slavery, the other was not. So you had a war for that. So there was an ideological difference in terms of in terms of charting the direction of the country.
Yes.
Jamaica today, in the 70s, we had an ideological difference. Michael Manley went democratic socialist, which is really what America is today, the same thing. It's just that they demonized what he said and made it seem like it was a very bad thing. Now, there are other factors that made his government fail. And it was this fighting from internal and external forces which made Manley's democratic socialism a failure. One of the reasons why the JLP won the last elections because Jamaicans did not have anything that they could stand behind. Because at this point in time, the JLP and PNP, there's no difference. They're both giving away our assets. There's corruption in both political parties. So basically, what they went with a government that is a can-do government in spite of the corruption.
Yeah.
So because we had the PNP for many years. I mean, 18 years of PNP, and nothing much to show for it. They're also very arrogant. There's a lot of arrogance in the PNP. I remember in the election before the last one, I assisted with the United Independence Congress, which is a united party going against the two major parties. And we had a debate already lined up at UWI. Holness showed up. My candidate, Joseph Patterson, showed up. And Portia said, no, I'm not doing it. And they did it at the very last minute when we had no other chance of securing another location to have a discussion about Jamaica's future. So there are a lot of factors which led to their defeat. And, at this point, Jamaicans are either not voting or just accepting what they've been getting.
Listen, what's your take? Sorry, Mark. Sorry, you were saying you're finishing up something.
No, and they're accepting what they're getting, which is not the very best that Jamaica can get, you know. I must admit that JLP has been doing a lot of, we've seen a lot of progress in terms of infrastructure and that kind of thing. But Jamaicans are paying for that. Do not believe that the infrastructure came because of our tax dollars at work.
Yeah.
We have literally sold our country to get the kind of infrastructure work that we desperately need. And there's another factor which I'm a little bit upset about, and it's the fact that Jamaicans could have done this work a lot cheaper than what we're paying right now. I mean, to give up our watershed. Jamaica's a land of wood and water.
Yeah.
And for both governments to sign off on the watershed giveaway for the Chinese, I'm talking about GLP and PNP.
Mark, can I just bring in Lester there? Lester, Marcus said that the successive governments, JLP, I mean, not that effective, but at the same time, they won based on the failures, if in a sense, of the People's National Party. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, with any democracy, that's what happens. The failure of one party propels the other party, you know, so it's not a strange concept. What I disagree with Mark with respectfully is that
I cannot hear what he's saying.
Oh, your vote, yeah, you.
Let me get my headphones.
Yeah. What's the weather like there, Mark? Is it hot? Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Mark?
Why, it's always hot in Jamaica.
Oh yeah. Okay. Lester, see if we can. Lester, you might have to speak loud just in case, if anything. Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Mark?
A little better, yes.
Yes, but I disagree with you regarding the ideology of the both parties, right?
Okay.
The People's National Party have practiced more of a socialism type of governance than anything else. And, it has not worked in terms of the culture of the people, right? So it failed because of one main thing. Michael Manley had good ideas, but the execution of these ideas was poorly done, right? Also, Edward Seaga had a different ideology. So when he came into power, it's like the country was going left under Manley, and he came and do a drastic right turn. And as a small economy, a very poor economy, persons who are undereducated and uneducated, it is difficult to make these type of adjustments. So we had a long process to recover and recoup, and it causes the failure that we're having. Then we have had a lengthy time of People's National Party, non-growth, non-performance, and it has led to our brain drain. It has led to our infrastructure stagnation. It has led to the capital injection in the country stagnant. So it's not just a one thing, as you as explained earlier. What I want to also explain to you is that the voting population, the voter turnout, has been going down since like '97. It has been trending down, you know, and it's because of persons who are not engaged, the persons who should be engaged in the political system were not engaging in it. So we can't have the brightest minds saying, boy, well, we can't manage the politics, it's too corrupt. We need the brightest minds to be engaged in politics. That's how any country right. And that's one of our main problems in Jamaica.
Yeah. Okay. Mark, I think you may have struggled to hear Lester, but you heard him though, yeah?
Yes, I'm struggling.
Yes, Lester, yeah, there's a volume thing there. But Mark, yeah, come on.
Let me address what he said.
Yes.
First of all, Jamaica is democratic socialist. Right now, we're democratic socialists. There's no difference between what Manley proposed back in 1974, 75, and what's happening today. He conveniently did not address the external forces that affected Manley's government. Now, you have to understand that Jamaica was very dependent on the United States for a lot of our resources or raw materials. And if you have a government like the United States against you in your backyard, you are bound to fail when we're that dependent on the United States. Now, how can one argue against being self-reliant? One of the reasons why, you know, the name that we give him, Mark Renaissance Cameron, didn't just come out of the sky. I mean, it came from certain principles that I adhere to based on Manley's philosophy and my parents. And that is the ability to take care of myself. If I weld, I'm an artist, I'm a chef, I build houses. I mean, the fundamentals of self-reliance is, you can't argue about that. You can't argue against that. The problem was that Manley's direction was not in sync with the direction of the persons who were trying to exploit Jamaica. Now, if an exploiter, these are men like Manley, they're not going to do very well. They're not going to like Michael Manley. Michael Manley wanted the best for Jamaica, not for the United States, and there's nothing wrong with that. So to ignore the external pressure and the bringing in of guns to destabilize our country, I mean, you cannot make an objective assessment against Michael Manley without bringing that into the equation. So your whole argument, sir, is flawed without mentioning those key factors into this discussion.
Listen, we had some recent development in Jamaica, and this is where you, Mark, reach to the point where you're saying the people are being failed at this time. You saw the resignation of 4 persons from the People's National Party. You see Mark Golding trying to lead the party and to be a potential prime minister. Do you see this as a way of charting a new way forward for him, or is it just a backward step? It is just that this Westminster System is a failure, even though at the same time, I know you got your proposal as the alternative. But according to what is happening with the People's National Party now, is there an effective opposition in Jamaica?
There's none. And I'll tell you why. First of all, they were beaten soundly in the last election. The PNP only have 14 MPs. The JLP can do whatever they want to do at this point. We cannot stop. If they vote tomorrow to sell all the water to China, they can do it. We can't stop them because the PNP is like a dog with false teeth or no teeth. They cannot do anything. So they're in opposition in name only. Now, people are not going to go behind the PNP if they're not offering a viable option to what we now have. The resignation of the 4 vice presidents, I'm not even sure why they have 4 vice presidents. I mean, you know, for what? I mean, one person's not good enough?
I think one of them is, I think Philip Powell is the chair.
Well, you know, too many cooks spoil the broth, and it just shows the lack of leadership. I mean, I would imagine that if I'm the leader of a party, I'm carrying the will of the people, which supersedes anybody else among my party. They're just there to solidify my agenda and the agenda of the people. So it kind of shows a little bit of weakness on Mark Golding's part to have 4 people resign. But then again, you know, they don't have an effective policy, not like the kind that Manley had in the 70s. Like I said, there's nothing. They're not adding any value to the PNP, other than saying that we are better than the JLP, or we are not as corrupt. I have not heard from the opposition leader measures with teeth to prevent corruption. Corruption is one of the biggest factors in Jamaica that's an impediment to our growth. And they're not talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. So if we're not talking about that, why would you back an organization like the PNP if they're not putting any process in place to prevent these things from happening? You know, it's not the people in us, Silver, it's not the people. It's the process. I've told the president of the UIC. I was asked if I back the UIC, and I said I do. I back the process and the policy of the UIC, which allows even the biggest crooks to come into our organization, and they can't apply their trade, because guess what? The process is going to stop them from being crooks. If you do not put an effective process in place, good people will do bad.
Mark,
and bad people will do worse.
Yeah. Mark, I'm going to come back to you on this point, but I'm going to let her respond to you. But you sort of alluded that the Westminster system is failing or failed Jamaica. But at the same time, yes, but at the same time, you said Michael Manley had a clear agenda and a clear path which was working, but he operated also under the Westminster system.
You know something? Lightning doesn't strike in the same place all the time. Michael Manley is an aberration. When you talk about the PNP, no other name gets more attention than Michael Manley. Michael Manley gets more traction because he was transformational. I mean, the things that he proposed, no bastard there again, free education, the bauxite levy, getting more money for our bauxite, eating what we grow. I mean, what is so wrong with that?
Yes.
That is why he had attraction. And Manley was not a rich man when he died. You have some little politicians that are much wealthier than Michael Manley, doing less, that have done less for the country. So there's a lot of respect for his guidance.
Yes.
And his leadership is respected around the world. He was a leader of the third world.
All right.
When Michael Manley called anybody in the Caribbean, they listened to him because the man made sense.
All right.
People will follow a person with vision. They're not gonna follow. Me not follow nobody with nonsense. I'd rather not vote because I'm not gonna be a prostitute with my vote.
Mark,
if you get my vote, you have to earn it.
Mark,
I'm not gonna do it because you're my brethren. And I told Patterson that I said, listen, I support the UIC, but I support the UIC because of the policy of the UIC.
Yeah.
Not because of you. I mean, he's a nice guy and all, a little hard-headed at times, but I mean, he's, I think, one of the best people right now to lead this country because he's not about fluff.
Was that Joseph Patterson you're talking?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's
hold
on, Mark. Let's come in. You said that there's no visionary in Jamaica at this present moment in time. Lester, is Brogard a visionary for Jamaica at this time?
Definitely.
Speak a bit. You'll have to speak a bit louder, Lester, and push some because I think.
Definitely. Mark has been saying a lot of things, and he has not provided one ounce of facts or evidence to back it up. Right now, why is it that anybody who supported the PMP or supports the PMP or had supported the PMP can only make reference to Michael Manley, who came out of power in 1992? We have had three PMP leaders since Michael Manley, and the reference is always to a man who come out of politics in 1992, and his longest term was in the 70s. Now, let me ask Mark this. You got a country in 1972, 10 years old. 10 years old, we're just coming out of colonial rule. You have a very weak economy, right? We don't produce hydroelectricity, so we can't transform bauxite into aluminum, right? So we have to sell alumina at a reasonable price so that we can do trade with these big countries. This is how big countries trade. We can't go around that. We not have no power to go around the trade deficit. We don't. Now, secondly, you have a young country and you choose to side with the USSR and Cuba with your young country. No, I understand the ideology. I understand the ideology of what Michael Manley had. I understand the vision that he had. I understand the concept and the heart that he have with the Cuban people. But that was not his fight at that time. We were too weak of a country. Remember, you said it, Mark. We depend on USA for the plate of food on our table. So if you go back a country like Cuba, if you go back a country like USSR, right? Remember, he offered Jamaica to USSR, and he said he would back Castro. He would go to the top of the mountain with Castro. You cannot do that with a dictatorship country like the United States. You are careless. Now talk about grow what you eat and eat what you grow, right? In concept, it's
Okay.
good. But no,
Okay.
no,
No, I want to check it. Winston, can I hear you?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay,
You
good.
hearing me?
Okay, no problem. It's perfect. It's perfect. We are hearing you.
Okay,
Let's
go ahead.
finish your say, Lester. Yeah.
This is where I have to come and catch you, brethren. I don't see you locally. I have to watch you on TV.
All right, let Lester finish, and then we bring you in, Mark. Winston, cheers.
Michael Manley gave raw cash money to farmers. Now, the money is the end product of the farming, right? No other developed country or developing country actually exercise it like that, right? Now, if you give people who are not very educated raw cash to them hand, the farmers them use them by Z90 bikes. They bought a float and organization, and we never produced that much in terms of farming, right? We to plug into other agencies, it collapsed. It collapsed. Now, being a visionary is one thing. You can talk a good talk, you can write the thing, but the implementation of Michael Manley's things, right? Were not, secondly, his team turned against him. Everybody in the party almost turned against him. Until
All right.
there was thousands
Well,
of
Lester. I'm gonna bring in other persons now. Lester.
hold
Let's.
on. So let us be fair when we're going to talk about Michael Manley. Let us be
But
fair.
hold on, man, hold on. So
Okay.
let me just tie up what you just said a while ago, right?
Yeah.
First of all, Lester, you have to look on one's intent. Okay, his intent was good. Michael Manley has said that he's made a lot of mistakes in his quest for a better Jamaica. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about the failures of the PMP. I agree with what you're saying, my brother. I agree that the only person we can talk about is Michael Manley because we have not had any leadership since Michael Manley, good or bad. So we are getting what we deserve. Now, what I'm saying to you is that the context of the Westminster model, with its nepotism and the reward for votes that we have, does not serve a country like Jamaica, who politicians use the carrot and stick approach to get votes. We cannot continue to have persons being parachuted into constituencies representing party interests and not the interests of the people that they're supposed to serve. So what I'm saying to you, my brother, is that we need to change the process. Right now, the GLP is in a good position to implement a new process, which would make the UIC and the PNP irrelevant.
Yes.
We could actually govern under a GLP umbrella. If they allowed free and open elections in every parish, to decide to let the constituents decide who will lead that parish.
Okay.
We do not need 63 MPs and 243 parish councillors that cost over $2 billion. That doesn't make any sense.
Mark, hold that point because we're going to come back to the alternative. Winston, welcome and good afternoon from Jamaica.
I listen to these youngsters, you know.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Relative youngsters.
What's your take with I know when you're in London and I saw you recently, you were taking pictures all around Westminster and everything, and you like the Queen. But what's your take on this Westminster model now, and for where Jamaica is, and is there enough effective opposition? What's your take, sir?
Actually, I don't think anything is wrong per se with the Westminster model. The Westminster model as a governance model and a structure has worked very well in other parts of the world.
Not Jamaica.
It seems to work well in Australia. Apparently it works well in Canada. It has worked well in Singapore, and it has worked well in a number of other Commonwealth countries that were part of British colonial history and so on. So the model itself is nothing is wrong with it. I think the question is, how can we use the model? What changes, what adjustment we need to make? Can we develop a kind of hybrid system? Can we be honest with the model? You know, and I think what has happened is that over the years in Jamaica, we have somehow corrupted the fundamental model of the system. And we have done things with it that has not always worked well. And so my view is that the model is fine. The thing I don't like about the model, and it can be changed, is that, and of course it can be, because other countries do not have the Queen as head of state. They do not maintain a number of those institutions, such as the Privy Council and so on, that we currently have in Jamaica. So we see that other countries have used the Westminster model and has been successful with it. So I don't know that we need a completely different model. We need honest and decent and good people to make that model work. So whereas, for instance, let me finish, Mark. Whereas, for instance, the idea of bringing in a new political system and a new model, such as the UIC that Mark has been talking about, and I have an interest in exploring it. I don't know that it's going to be the be all and end all of our troubles. I honestly don't think so, because everything, like the Westminster model, has started off with good intentions, and we have not done very, very well with it. Now, if you look at our more recent history, I'm talking about, say, the last 60 years ago, since our independence, right? We have had a number of things that has happened in that is to say, leadership, leadership, the quality of leadership that we have both within and without the parties, the whole issue of corruption, the whole issue of lack of education to our people, and that makes them more easily manipulated, and therefore it just cues the result that we're looking for. So my thing is that we don't need a brand new model. We need to make the current model better, and we need to have honesty, decency within the system, and I think we can do very well.
Mark, 1 second, Mark, 1 second. Raymon Treasure, are you there? Yeah.
Yes, I am here. I'm here. Good afternoon, everybody from Jamaica.
Raymon Treasure is the principal of York Castle High School. Raymond, before Mark comes in, what's your take on the agenda topic, which is the failure of the Westminster system? Is it the Westminster system not working, or is it that it is not being effectively worked?
In my mind, the Westminster model is far more democratic than the presidential system. The truth is, the Westminster model, despite all its weaknesses, gives more power to the people. The truth is, if we were to adopt a presidential system, corporate Jamaica would take control. Look at the situation in America. It is the corporate companies, the billionaires, who are basically able to take charge. In Jamaica, for you to become prime minister, you must win the majority of the constituencies, and the MPs must select you from the majority of the constituencies. It would be possible to mobilize corporate Jamaica, win a presidential election, and then select a slate of candidates. At least this particular system still gives power to the poor to decide who they want to be the prime minister.
Okay, may I address that, sir? May I address that?
Go on, Mark, yeah.
I believe your assessment is flawed, and I'll tell you why.
Is it Winston you're addressing, or you Raymond?
The system
I agree with Raymond, yeah.
Okay, well, here's where you're all wrong. First of all, wishing for less corrupt persons to enter the Westminster model is like wishing for snow in downtown Kingston. It's not going to happen. We've been wishing for 60 years, bro. 60 years.
Hold
on a minute now.
Why is other model impervious to corruption?
I'm going to tell you what. Number one, Jamaica's Westminster model is reciprocal. It's you wash my hands and I'll wash yours. You cannot compare Jamaica's Westminster model to others, and because it's a completely different set of circumstances.
It is still the people who control power. It is still the ordinary man in the street.
The question is about the money.
Don't interrupt me, Bridget. Let me talk, man. And when I'm done, you can talk. What I'm saying to you, you said it's less democratic and it's more democratic under the system we have. What is democratic about delegates telling people who should represent them without having an open election from the people? What is more democratic than an open election? The delegates can collude and put persons who are going to support the party's interest. We want a transparent government, a government that deals with the needs of all the people and not party's interests. And the Westminster model, in the context of Jamaica as it is today, cannot work, has not worked, and no one can tell me that I'm an independence baby. I'm 60 years old. I've been waiting for deliverance, and I have not gotten that. My mom is 93. She has not seen a truly democratic, transparent government that cares about the future of Jamaica and not fluff and the reciprocal arrangement between those who want and those who want more. Winston, that is what's going to Jamaica right now, and UIC policy would change that.
Winston, do you think that Jamaica has become very complacent with the present scenario, or whereby it's a comfort zone? Mark is talking about some fundamental shift, because we recognize, and we all say it all the while, that the delegates do actually wield a fundamental power. And as a result of that, they are the ones that somehow, as some people say, most of them are not even paying taxes. But, you know, do you think that the system needs to be upgraded overall or to be perfected?
Well, the whole issue of the delegate, we need to understand that the delegates are members of the individual political parties, right? You have GLP delegate, PNP delegate. The delegates elect or support the person that is put up by the wider membership of the party to move from there to become the leader of the party, and so on. But the actual people who vote, the people who puts the people in the place of governance are the voters. The voters at every, I mean, you can always say, well, the election themselves are not always free and fair, and they are flawed and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's the electors, the electorate who elect the people that are offered to them, right? So I don't know that I don't understand when Mark speaks about the delegate. I don't know who is really speaking. The delegates are not the one that elect the members of parliament who go in and forms the government.
The delegates
the different parties elect the leader of their parties.
No,
so I don't understand Mark's
well, I'm gonna explain it to you. The delegates present the MPs to each parish, not the people, not by majority vote. What I'm saying to you, if you want a truly democratic system, you have an open election in, say, Manchester. and all the candidates come forward, you have an open election, the people decide who will become the MP for that parish. And in most cases, the MPs that are placed by the delegates into these parishes are not even from that parish.
Yeah.
So the fundamentals of that is already flawed. I'm saying to you, we need to have a transparent and open election in each parish for each candidate, and not have some party loyalists decide who will represent the party.
Who would determine who those people are that you're going to offer in each parish to be voted for?
The delegates.
Who select those
the
people?
delegates.
The delegates from your under your system, under the system that you're proposing.
Yes.
Where would the persons that would be put up that the electorate would vote? Who would it be that put those persons forward?
The people. We would have in other words,
you're gonna have a two-tier election. You're gonna have a first election where you elect the delegate, and then those go ahead, and then you have another election.
No, we're not electing no delegates. If anybody who wants to run in, say, Manchester,
yes,
they get the necessary nomination. If 5 people are nominated to run for Manchester, they all go before the Jamaican people and all the constituents in Manchester.
Who nominates those people?
They will have to find people in their constituency that can give you as much as 500 signatures that of support.
Mark, it sounds like he's going back to the same delegates in a way.
No, hold on. Each person has to get signatures from people in the parish that support them. Then they go before the electorate. I'm sure there got to be other persons running, so they're not going to get their 500 signatures too.
Mark.
And then you have an open vote with all the persons who have reached that mark of 500 voters, and the people will vote. GLP, PNP, independents, everybody vote for the person that's going to run that parish. It's simple.
No, hold on, Mark.
Keeps out the middleman, it keeps out any possibility of any kind of a collusion between the party and the delegates.
Let's just say.
Hold on, Mark. And I'm sure Winston will back me up on this. The process that is wide and open for corruption. Because if you have 5 candidates, it's the one with the most money. Remember, it's not a new set of people you are dealing with, It's not a new culture or subculture. It's the same culture and the same people you are dealing with. The person with the most influence and the most money is going to win, right? So
you know why? Ask Peter Bunting. Ask Peter Bunting, brethren.
Hold on. No.
Ask Peter Bunting how that go.
Hold on. I said the person with the most influence and money, right? Bunting had money, he never had influence. 2 different things. I worked on Rhoda Crawford team. I'm telling you, right? And the strategy what we used, no amount of money Bunting could have Manchester.
But Mark, that also proves the point. Because here you are, Bunting, you're saying in that system, and with all the Bunting money, him still couldn't win. The girl still won her seat because
to my point. So what I'm saying to you, first of all, under UIC system,
it was the party that carried her. It had nothing really to do with her. She came in on the party seat.
Right.
Because there was a swing to the party. So she, I mean, even if you were a little known candidate, based on the movements that the political wave that was going for Andrew Holness at the time, she would have won.
So what you're saying, Raymond, anybody going to that stream would have just followed through. It doesn't matter who the name was.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
People voted for Andrew Holness in the last election.
Raymond,
that is not true, and I'll tell you why it's not true.
Raymond,
you have to be a very excellent MP. Sir, you have to be an excellent MP to win in the last election. If you were
is that what we deserve?
Raymond.
Not every PMP candidate lost their seat. Some were brought back into government by people who believed in what they're doing. So don't use that argument because that's flawed. There was a swing. I agree there was a swing because of the tide of the GLP. But if you were a very good MP, then you would not have been removed.
Please understand
So you
that
have
some very weak candidates for the JLP won in the last elections, and
Yes.
right now they're having issues. Right now they're having issues because people voted for the Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
All right. Well, listen. We can keep going on. And Mark, I hear what you're saying. In regards to then this new movement, this new shift, because this whole discussion came up about because of the 4 officers that resigned. Is there an effective opposition? I think that's it. Winston, is there an effective opposition in Jamaica at this time? Is Mark Golding able to carry things forward with a team that of his choosing? Because David Cameron eventually got his mandate when he won that major election, but the election he won, not through his party. What's his name? Boris Johnson in the last election also got this mandate where they choose the person who is running with them, loyal, so they can carry themselves forward. Is it that what Mark is wanting to build on his people?
Well, let me answer your question. First of all, it's hard to be an effective opposition leader if you're having challenges and difficulties within your own party. And that has been a problem that Mark has faced since he has been elected president. The recent move is one that I believe will help him to consolidate his position, because the thing that any party leader requires within his party is loyalty. And
yes,
unfortunately, this loyalty has been absent. The loyalty of the people around him, especially. So that though he was elected, there was this faction was still there. There are people who supported the other major candidate, and then somehow they continued to be occupied important position in the party, but they were not all fully on board with Mark for one reason or the other.
yes.
What has happened now with the resignation of these top tier PNP? It has now allowed, it will allow, especially the other 4 folks who have offered themselves to be the vice president, and I imagine they are likely to go up unopposed, that once the election is over in September, Mark will have a very good, clear support to allow him to step forward and be bold and be the effective leader that he can be and should be within the People's National Party. So though people are trying to suggest that what has happened over the last 2 days is going to further weaken the party, it will not. It's going to strengthen the current leadership of the party for them to get, for the party to get to be stronger, bolder, and more confident as it moves towards mobilizing the voters with a view, naturally, of being elected to power the next time around. Because the major objective of any political party is for state power. And so I expect that from here on in, the party will coalesce around Mark, strengthen his position as leader, and the party will move from strength to strength. Whether or not it will get to the point over the next 2.5, 3 years, when the next election is due, to effectively dethrone Holness, only time will tell. Because a year in a politics is like a day. So that is how I see it. So I'm viewing this for the PNP. It's a good day for the PNP. It's a good day for Mark, and I expect that he will build on this new development that has occurred. So I don't see it as something bad for the PNP.
Thanks for that, Winston. Eloquently put. Lester, what's your take on that? I saw you shaking your head. I don't know if it was shaking it wrongly or rightly. Do you think that Mark is set himself now to go forward effectively?
He will try, because I've seen where Mark Gordon has improved, and I've seen where he's trying, right? But I still think that this job is way bigger than Mark. And to be frank, the general public have a view that Bunting is the man running the party, Bunting is the man pulling the strings, right? That he has that monkey, he has to get off his back. He has to set himself apart, show great leadership qualities. He has to get his own mandate, his own people in, but also even in his parliamentary representation, right? In parliament, he has to come out more assertive and more with more brilliant offerings. He has been very weak in many of his parliamentary offerings. And again, the public have have a concept that is bunting or runting.
Before I go on to Raymon Treasure,
You mean,
couldn't it be put that Andrew Holness at one point never had the nation until after a while he stepped into it and eventually he developed and he developed? Isn't that a fair statement? Did he have it right away, Lester?
No, no, he did
Okay.
not. But
Okay.
it took a team.
Well, okay, no. It's just like in a court of law. You answered the question there. You said no. All right. Move on to Raymon Treasure now. Raymon, what's your take then regarding Mark Golding at this position that he's in? I had Mark Golding on my show, and we had a very good conversation. And my perspective is that, listen, I hear something else at times about there's somebody pulling the strings. There's always somebody pulling some strings. I always say that with Andrew Holness, there are some names that they say we're pulling strings as well. Lester, go for it. I mean, not Lester. I mean, Raymon Treasure, please.
Well, I think I agreed with, I think it was Lester who made the point that this is his opportunity to purge. In 2013, Andrew Holness was challenged by Audley Shaw and about 5 of his current cabinet ministers who were a part of that challenge, including Darrell Vaz. Of course, some were thrown out in the process, and we no longer hear about them. Going into the 2016 elections, the polls said that Andrew didn't stand a chance. But because he would have surrounded himself with some young Turks who were pretty effective in marketing and in branding him, he turned out to be unstoppable to the extent that we now say he will get a 3rd term. It is important, I think, for the leader to have people around him who he can trust, people who will articulate his vision. Certainly before these resignations, one didn't get the impression that he had this kind of support. So what we see happening now with him surrounding himself with people who are going to aggressively sell his vision, sell the policies of the opposition, in my mind, must be a much better thing than what existed up to 2 weeks ago.
And you okay, Mark? I was gonna come to you now, Mark. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
In regard along that same breath, regarding Mark Golding and the present position is it a positive way forward for him to set himself and to move forward effectively as a leader, galvanizing himself?
Well, I'm saying cockroach have no business in fall fighting, but
I keep hearing that every day these last days. Every day.
I will take a chance on it. First of all, if people are resigning from his organization in leadership, it opens up the opportunity for persons that are going to support his agenda, persons that may transform that party, because the party is in need of transformation. So by default, he has a great opportunity to look on other candidates that are going to be, come with new ideas. We need new ideas in this country, not the same old ideas but they haven't worked. I think one of the things that of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and trying to get a same result, a different result. You can't try the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So if those people resigned, then it's a great opportunity. I wouldn't look at it as a problem. He should use that. I mean, they did him a favor. They did him a favor. They showed him where they stand. because all you need are loyal people behind you.
Yes.
You don't want a whole bunch of people going behind you, talking behind your back and sabotaging what you're trying to do. So no, it's a win-win for him.
But
Fantastic.
I have a quick question, right? You know what is the problem I've had with the PNP since PJ Patterson left? What is the agenda? What is the
You're a bit low.
what is the message of the PNP?
He's from the Brogard Party. That's why the microphone is not
I'm
great.
asking what is the message of the PNP? Because you said that Mark and Winston said that these guys he gonna have his guys rally behind him. Rally behind what message really? Because we have not anything clear cut from the People's National Party to say, okay, this is what they stand for, this is what they're going for, this is what we're working towards, and so we don't know if they and them go counter that. We don't know what the People's National Party stand for.
All right,
let me jump in right here.
Winston, we're coming out.
Yeah, Lester. The message and the overarching principle and vision of the People's Nationalist Party, as far as I'm aware, has not changed fundamentally from the founding of the party in 1938 when the party was founded. The basic principle is the same. It's a principle that speaks to inclusiveness. It's a principle that speaks to democracy. It's a principle that speaks to opportunity. It's a principle that speaks to people power and looking out for the interests of the people first. Hold on, let me finish. You asked the question. I'm answering the question. Okay? Those principles have not changed. What has changed is that the PNP has failed over these many, many years, since Michael Manley, to effectively articulate those principles. That is not the way. And let me tell you why I'm saying that. If you look and you want to be honest with yourself, all of the major, without exception, all of the major accomplishments that have redirected, that has reimagined, that has presented the most exciting opportunities for the people of Jamaica, whether it's been in education, whether it's been in social welfare, whether it is in housing, whether it is in even major infrastructure, all of these things, whether it is in equality in our laws, whether it is laws that protect our women, our children, whether it is law that change the whole issue of rights of people, with the whole concept of everybody being treated reasonably equally under the law. The PNP has undoubtedly led those changes. The JLP, the only thing that I can think of that the JLP has introduced to Jamaica that you could regard as brand new was in the period when Siaga was in power and Hartress NTA. But every other major plank of social and economic accomplishment has been done by the PNP. The PNP main failure, they have failed since Michael Manley to articulate those visions and to present it to the Jamaican people in a proper way. And as a result of that, the JLP have come in right under that and have obfuscated that situation to the point where the people are now believing in them. But get back, go do your research. You're a young man.
Well, listen, we're gonna wrap up now. We're gonna wrap up now. But Mark and guys, just one more point I want to bring up.
Let me tell you how fundamental it is.
Yeah.
There's a book that's Cree Bertram called Norman Manley, The Making of a Modern Jamaica. Go and read that book. Because what that book does, it lays out for you in a very, very clear way those moves in those early days and how those moves by Norman Manley effectively lay the foundation for almost everything that we're seeing now. The concept of first in the Jamaica welfare. I don't know whether you guys are.
I'm going to bring it.
Yeah, sorry.
Right. As far as I know, currently both the PNP and the JLP subscribe to the liberal democratic traditions, and the economic policies are no different. So what we have at this point are really
they're no different now. Now they're no different.
No, they are no different.
But they have not always been the same.
No, you're correct. You're correct about that. So I'm saying when the other speakers, the other person making the point, the other person making the point that we don't.
Michael Manley came into power in the 70s, in 1972, because the JLP had built up under Shearer, right? Shearer took over from Buster or from Sangster, and under Sangster and under Shearer, right? They used to call Shearer out. The entire economy of the country was virtually given on a platform to people like Barber, Surrey Construction. The entire thing was done. It was farmed out to specific people, and that is why in the 1972 Manley's message was so receptive.
No, I agree, because as you know, in that period, the policy was industrialization by invitation.
Policy has not changed. So, you know, you guys need to do your history.
No, what I'm saying is the policy at the time was industrialization by invitation.
By whom?
By Postamanti. No, the point we actually share the same views, you know. We actually share the same views. If you listen to what I'm saying, we share the same views. What I'm saying is that the current PNP and JLP parties, they basically subscribe to the same political and economic views.
Well, you know what?
The implementation, the views is not the same in terms of the implementation, how it is structured, and how the benefits.
Winston, let Mark speak. Mark.
Well, Winston, to your point, Manley laid some groundwork. He laid the groundwork. But as you know, a step is just a step. Without, if you don't take one step, it's a step in a direction. If you don't take follow-up steps, you'll get nowhere. You talked about a new model by the PNP. In 1972, you had my father bought a 1972 Fiat 125S. It was new. It was new.
Brand new.
Hold on, brethren. It's not new anymore. So to talk about a new initiative back in 1972 or 74, it means absolutely nothing if there's no follow-up. You know, you have to understand that Jamaica is a living country. Our constitution should be a living document. We are constantly changing. If you don't change with the times, then you're going to be buried. So to talk about the great things of the past, you know, it's all emotional and sentimental.
No, but what I'm saying, Mark, what I'm saying, and you know exactly what I'm saying. We're talking about a principle. Nothing can happen without a basic. All I'm saying is that the basic principle of the PNP, inclusiveness, people, power to the people. All of that, all of those things are the principles. How you can build on it, you can detract from it, but the key thing is to know where you're coming from. So that
but I agree. But hold on, Winston. To have you may have guiding principles. If you don't adhere to those guiding principles, it means absolutely nothing. In other words, if you have laws on the book and they're not being adopted by the people, or the people don't obey those laws, and there's no accountability, it means nothing. Which is why I'm saying to you that the UIC model puts initiatives in place and a process in place that if these fundamentals are not adhered to, people go to jail. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, oh, we need more less corrupt people. We need more people who are more caring. We can wish all we want. The reality of Jamaica today is that people are going to government mostly to enrich themselves. So we have to put a process to change that. If that's not a part of Mark Golding's package, end the conversation. We're wasting time.
And that's a good point to stop now, guys. And the last word that I'll ask everybody is, and I'm going to start from Mark. Mark, I hear about UIC, yes? Is UIC?
Yeah, the United Independent Congress. Yeah.
Okay. that's far-reaching in the immediate. But what do you think can happen for Jamaica for things to work effectively now, in the short term?
In the
According
short
to you.
term,
Yeah.
in the short term, since we have our prime minister, who's leading this country today. I am pleading, I am urging the prime minister to please adopt policies that are of accountability, policies that are transparent, policies that are inclusive, policies that represent the interest of the Jamaican people and not handlers from overseas. There's a perception, real or not, that Jamaica is ruled by other countries. As a matter of fact, Andrew Holness is now part of the Queen's Advisory Council.
Privy Council.
He's been appointed and approved by the Queen.
Based on the nomination by Winston Barrett. Nomination by
All our prime ministers, except three. All our prime ministers, with the exception of three, were members of the Privy Council.
All right, let's say.
Guess what?
Everybody finish.
To be completely independent and free.
Yes.
You don't need to be no advisor for nobody else but the Jamaican people. Them fools just have to stop.
Okay.
We need to deal with Jamaica's interests. We don't care about anybody else, England and America. We need to deal with Jamaica. And we need to stop this foolishness and this in awe of these former colonialists who have oppressed us for all these years. Get rid of the Constitution and chart a Jamaican Constitution. That's what we need to do. And stop this foolishness, this bowing down and in awe of people. Come on, man, we're supposed to be free. Act free.
Okay.
And stop acting like second-class citizens in your own country.
Okay. Point.
That is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that is where we need to go.
Okay.
Anything else is foolishness.
Point taken very clearly by Mark. Winston, for an effective Jamaica in the short run now, with under the leadership of the Prime Minister, what is your suggestion and your way forward, sir?
Well, first of all, I would like us to, while, as I said before, I don't see an issue with the Westminster model per se. I certainly think I would like us to get rid of some of the vestiges of the system, which is to say, we need to get. I think we need to, even because symbols are important, and I think, for instance, we definitely need to move towards the kind of constitutional changes that will have us remove the Queen as head of state, would have us adopt our own Caribbean Court of Justice as our final appellate court. Those things, though they are symbolic, I think they're very, very important. So I think we need to, I'd like to see the Prime Minister moving in the direction to have that done. After that, I would just like them to continue, for him to continue to adopt modern and good and sound economic policies. We need to have a policy framework that begins to look at the social ills that face the country, the crime, the violence. We need to look at providing people with how we do it. I'm not even sure, because it takes cash to care, as they say, and our economy having gone through the pandemic and the decline in our growth and so on, it's going to be very, very difficult. But I do believe that if the Prime Minister continues or improve these social and economic policies that bring keep employment up, create new jobs, create new opportunities in areas like construction, remove a lot of the bureaucracy that still hinders our system from growing.
Yes,
I believe that we would accomplish a lot. The country is still too steep in bureaucracy. We need to get away a lot of this cobweb and move forthrightly to get things done. As Nike said, let's just do it. And we have the opportunity to do it, but there's still too much bureaucracy. I think I would like to see a removal of some of those so that we can move in a path of development.
Thank you very much, Winston. And Lester, in a couple of minutes, not just under 2 minutes, if less.
Yes, I have to agree in sorts with what Winston said. You see, um, I laid out on Facebook today 6 points. I don't know if you see, right? Regarding this question. Now, we have embassies in many countries, right? We are trade partners with many countries who are doing really well. What we need to do is look at the basic fundamental things that citizens need and provide them and improve on them. Housing is one, affordable housing is one. I live in the Netherlands now, and the government here made sure that they are affordable housing. Right? We need a strong social welfare system where persons who are most vulnerable, persons who are out of work or limited work, can have a social welfare system that can back them up until they get back into the work process. Also, we need to revamp our education system, right? Our education system is counterproductive to persons who have different levels of learning. So we really need to up our education system. Water system. We are partners with Israel and we are partners with Netherlands. They have the two best water systems in the world, right? We need to get some experts. We need to get in these things. Water system is important. And next thing, renewables. We can't be a country of almost 300 days of sunlight and not have renewables, right? To bring down our energy bill. These are something that is important.
Yes.
We have also too much corruption. Our court, our justice system need to be seamless. We need to see
Okay.
who are at the top, who are corrupt, are getting prosecuted by the court. And next thing, farming and agri-processing, we need to push farming, not just for farm on land, but start with high rise, where our yield is far better and far more than just the elements of the weather destroying our crops. So
Thank
we
you.
need to push forward with technology and these things.
Thank you, Lester. And Raymond.
Okay, Silburn, please
Yes.
remember that the model is Westminster Whitehall. The problem we are having in Jamaica is not necessarily with the Westminster section of things, because politicians roll out good policies from time to time. But how are these policies implemented? We depend on the civil service. We depend on Whitehall to implement these policies. The truth is, Whitehall does not necessarily have the most competent people at this time. Some of our best technocrats are in the diaspora. The kind of salaries that they pay civil servants, you don't necessarily attract the best. Our development to a great extent, the implementation of policy to a great extent revolves around the civil service. And the truth is, it is not coming from that group in an effective way. They are not implementing. So civil servants will pass potholes every day and do nothing about it. And they say it is the MPs, but the truth is, it is the responsibility. I don't depend on the Minister of Education to come and run my school. I run my school. I implement policies.
Yes,
So
yes.
what we require is for Whitehall, the civil service, to step up their game.
Yes. Well, guys, I think
back to the bureaucracy, you know, that is the problem. The civil servants are steep in the bureaucracy, but it takes leadership, and the government is going to have to begin to lead from in front and putting the systems in place to reduce the bureaucracy, so we can get.
We need stronger permanent secretaries. That's the reality.
We need that. And sometimes we throw the bath water. Sometimes you're going to make very changes to ensure that other things don't happen, and very often you make it more difficult because government is always looking behind them. What is the IMF going to say? What is the international organization going to say?
Yes.
And so as long as we continue to depend on these other global economic support systems that have their own. Listen, the other day the government brought out a loan system that they got from the internet, I believe the IADB, Inter-American Development Bank. 14 million US dollars was put out there for innovation, for people to buy into the program by coming up with innovative ideas. I decided to have a look at it and thought, oh boy, I have this building systems that I've been looking at in China, and I think it would solve our housing situation here. And when I went in to look at the requirements, you have to determine that if you see a fly, you're going to shush it away and don't kill it because of the rules in terms of the environment and all of that stuff in order to qualify for these loans. So though we're not masters of our own destiny in that way, because our economic support is still dependent on international donors who come up with ridiculous rules and regulations. So we need to get to a point, like for instance, a friend of mine was telling me yesterday, he was a very big executive and was involved in the PNP. And I had a meeting with an IMF representative, and they were complaining about the strings that were attached to these loans and the balance of payment requirements and whatever and so on. And the representative, a young man, 30 years old from the IMF, said to the guy, said, listen, whenever you become a lender, you can start to make these rules. As it is now, the lenders are the one that made these rules. So just cut.
Well, thank you, guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining today. And
thank you. That antidotal note.
Yes, don't leave. Yeah. So thank you, Mark, Lester, Winston, Dandada, and Raymon Treasure, my classmate as well. Well, listen, guys, I think we may have to do this maybe every fortnight or so, because that's the only time I can get to speak to Winston very keenly.
No, you can get any time. You mean Mark?
You mean Mark? No, Mark is always painting, man. I thought today was going to be a particular painting which he was on display.
Okay.
Painting there. But no, on a serious note, guys, this is a good conversation, and let's keep it going. And Raymon Treasure as a issue which we're going to talk about next time. And if I can just say briefly, what Raymond pet peeve is now with another principle is that, and Winston, this is something up your street. There are a lot of developments in Jamaica, lots of housing developments, but these housing developments are not catering for the education or for schools in these places. Raymond, can you just give it to me in 1 minute, please, Raymond, so we can start the ball rolling on this? Raymond, is he gone? Maybe he's gone to have his dinner, or he has a okay. But anyway, we're going to touch back on that some other time. It is about the responsibility of development organizations in also supporting the schools in the areas where they are developing, because it is putting pressure on schools whereby these people.
I think that's a model they have in the United States. In other words, if you live in a particular area, you pay tax towards the schools.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think that's what he's talking about. But you know something, just to add to what my friend from the Netherlands, he lives in a socialist country. I mean, brethren, that's as far as socialist as he can get. And I mean, you know, but the people there are I mean, I've been to the Netherlands, I've been to Estonia, I've been to Russia. Those people in the Netherlands are really for the people. They think about the collective good.
Yes.
It's not about hook up a brethren or whatever. It's when they build a school.
Is the flooding affecting you guys over there?
No, well, I'm in Rotterdam, but the flooding was in Limburg, in the far southern part of Holland to where Belgium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how are people coping? I've been watching. It's horrible.
It's horrible, but I mean, with issues like that, the government is well equipped to deal with issues like that. But because houses are built and it's very narrow roads like that, so the water builds up quickly, easily, you know.
So climate change. What do you think is
I think touching on the education thing you talked about.
Yes.
I think one of the impediments to Jamaica's success is the fact that we're not educated in sync with country direction. We have not defined, are we agricultural? Okay, for agriculture, are we protecting our agricultural lands? You talked about housing. Right now, the GLPs, they're building houses on agricultural land, which took thousands and millions of dollars to bring the infrastructure into to water the areas for these things to grow. So we have not had a conversation about our education, where we need to go, what we are equipped to provide to the world, because economies are based on goods or services. What are we doing? Are we tourism? If it's tourism, are we protecting the environment? Are we technology? Are we teaching our kids how to enter that world?
Yeah.
These are things we need to talk about as far as our education.
So that's part two. That's part two in a couple weeks' time. Okay, guys. Lester, we got to wrap up now. Sorry, Lester. Go on, Lester. Go on, Lester.
Winston, to answer your question quickly, remember, Netherlands is very, very flat, right?
Yes, I know. I've been there.
We have a lot of canals here. When the water builds up, it has nowhere to run off. If it's too much,
Coming on. Yeah.
there's nowhere to run off, so it just keep backing up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's very
Wow.
Say thanks to Margaret for allowing you, Winston.
Yes, I will. But Lester, let me ask you quickly though. What are people there saying about this deluge of flooding? What are they saying? Why is it the issue is climate change? What are people saying?
Well, for me, for the most part, people are unified. That's the one thing with them; they're unified. So people are coming out, they're helping.
Yes.
The issue is that construction there's too much construction going on. There's
Yes.
Water let-offs.
Oh, okay.
And then how the houses are built, the roads are built. So we have like highways and the
Yes.
water. There's no passage to run it off and stuff like that. And then they're clearing away because we have a housing shortage here because of influx of immigrants. So
right.
we're building crazy amount of houses.
So they're clearing certain
Lands.
areas that would normally protect the environment.
Yeah. Winston, I'm going to link you with Lester. I got to wrap. Mark, you're going to say one thing?
No, I was going to say that I appreciate the fact that you put this forum together.
Yes.
And I am very thankful that our guests have kept it civil. I think it's a very objective conversation we had today.
Yes.
And this is the kind of conversations we need to have in the future because we all want the best for Jamaica.
Yes.
And everybody has an opinion. We just need to put our opinions in the right place and have them implemented.
Fantastic. I always believe.
Yes. My son had dinner sauce, so I'm gone.
Okay. All right, Winston. Thank you so much for that, Mars.
Mark,
Nice to talk to you. We'll need to link.
Mark. Okay, Mark.
I'll do the links. All right.
Okay. Mark is my brother.
Okay.
I knew Mark's dad, you know. I know where him get all of this fire from. So, but I'm the only one who knows. I'm the only one who knows it.
Winston was a junior in my father's company.
That's right.
Yeah.
I never knew Mark at the time, but his dad and the dad treated me like a younger brother, I have to say, at the time.
Awesome. Well, Winston, we have to reach Jamaica soon. Yeah. All right. Respect, man.
All right, brethren. Yeah.
Take care.
Yes.
Yeah. Mark. Oh, Mark gone as well. Mark gone? Oh, where's Mark? No, is the wrong person I put on. No, it's you. Mark, listen, Virgin. Thanks for that. Yeah. Boom. And we'll keep the conversation. But you know what you said about you see, one has got to take some of the good and dash with some of the bad. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I'm not saying nothing about your organization, but I think there's lots of good from it that need to come into the present as much as possible.
You know what? I spoke to Joseph Patterson many years ago, and he said if any of the political parties implemented policies that were transformational, UIC would go away. We're not interested in power.
Yes.
We're interested in having our country work. So, and I came back to Jamaica. I left Jamaica and settled, and I came back. So I've invested my money in Jamaica. I live here now, you know. So I want my country to work. So if I see foolishness going on, it bothers me a lot, bro.
Yes.
You know, I know you're in the Netherlands, in the UK, me in Jamaica.
Yes.
So whatever happens today affects me today. Crime,
yes,
all that kind of stuff.
I do say many times, and I said it to Lester one time, that Jamaicans haven't left Jamaica because they keep sending back to Jamaica. You see, they always talk about when, and even in church sometimes they say when you give your tithe, you give off yourself. People are always giving off themselves back to Jamaica, you know, giving up their money back to Jamaica. So in a way, they haven't left. They are still connected socially, financially to Jamaica. You know what I mean? So, Mark, listen, we'll talk, yeah? Boom.
Yeah, man,
respect, Virgin. Send some on the painting. We have to do a show up on the painting then one day, all right? So let me know. No, let's start. Let's say if we talk.
Hey, let's go. We can sell some paint in the Netherlands, you know. We can send painting over there to you. But chip.
Mark,
He's a captain, it's like that, you know, see?
Mark, one day what we do a show and we have all the painting them and we just do a show exclusively on the painting. We just get the images of the painting and you just talk about the painting them. Let's do something like that. That's from me to you. That's my contribution.
All right. That sounds good. We can give some money to charity too, you know?
No matter where you want to put it, man, in your pocket first and then give charity after. Because you see the charity business, them brethren, the man them eat off the money off of the charity, them man, and the people that got the charity get out 10% of it left. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful when the word charity these days, you know. Some man
yeah, you're right. Anyhow, good talking to you guys, man. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, man. Blessings, man.
Okay. All right, guys. Respect.